consult a qualified healthcare professional before making any health or lifestyle changes.
Welcome to Conversations That Heal. If your doctor says you're fine, but your body says otherwise, you're maybe gaining weight that doesn't make any sense, aches and pains that seem to be for no reason, maybe you're waking up at 2:30 a.m. and your brain just won't stop, or, you're struggling to push through those tasks that you used to handle without even thinking about it. Well, you are in the right place. Every episode, we explore different perspectives or practices to help your body improve naturally. So take what works for you and leave what doesn't. Before we get into today's conversation, click the link in the description and download my free resource, 4 Steps to Finally Feel Like Yourself Again. Let's get into it. Okay, well, welcome to Conversations That Heal. I'm Tracy Mail, a health empowerment coach, and tonight I'm joined by Steve Olsen. Thanks so much for being here, Steve.
My pleasure to be here.
Yeah, good. So, Steve is a retired dentist who became very interested in how people became top performers in their life. He developed a coaching program using these optimal performance principles to help people navigate different challenges. So today we're going to focus on mindset and how it's like 10 times more important than motivation when it comes to healing or just navigating everyday life in a healthier way. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Steve. I want you to just tell us a bit about your own story. Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. Being a car guy, the way I look at motivation and mindset is motivation is like gasoline. Okay. So you need the motivation to power the engine. But mindset can either be a lawnmower or a race car, but the fuel's the same. So that's why the approach of thinking mindset is more powerful than motivation is due to the fact it's more variable and the output can vary greatly. So that's the first key on that.
Yes.
So that's being a car guy, kind of like that. Okay.
Yeah, no, that completely makes sense.
Okay.
That's good.
So let's start with motivation though, because motivation is really more of your feeling. Mindset's more of how you think. But your feelings are really super powerful in this. And one of the best I've ever known to talk about motivation is Dean Graziosi, who's part of Tony Robbins' group. Because one of the exercises I like people to do when it comes to motivation is you want to accomplish something. So the first thing is you say to yourself, why do I want to do this? And then you come up with one answer. And then after that, the question is, why do you want to do this? And it usually goes down 5 or 6 layers. Yep. And the bottom layer that you get to that almost brings tears to your eyes, that's what you want.
Right.
And I remember when I heard this from Dean years ago, his bottom layer was he wanted to help his mom never be in poverty again.
Oh, right.
See, that's powerful.
Yeah.
So motivation is there, but that's not what determines your true outcome. So that's where you get into mindset. Now, the other thing about mindset is people say we got to have the right mindset. Well, there's actually 2 different types of mindset. One of them is a fixed mindset, and the other one is a growth mindset. And the person that I know of that's good at this is a professor by the name of Carol Dweck, D-W-E-C-K, and she teaches at Stanford now. As far as I know, she's the one that came up with this concept of a fixed versus a growth mindset. So there's a couple ways to say, well, which category am I in? And what's interesting about this is a lot of people say, oh, they're growth mindset. But there are always parts of people's lives that is still fixed, that can't be changed. So one of the first ways to know about this is you're faced with a challenge. So one of the things that comes up is that do you avoid challenges or do you embrace challenges? That's one split in it. And again, there's no right or wrong. This is more of a self-aware as to where you're at on the spectrum. Another one that's interesting is people give up easily with a fixed mindset.
Okay. Yep.
Whereas a growth mindset, they say, I'm going to get through this. Another one is people will say, I can't afford that. I'm too old. I'm this, I'm that. But the other way to rephrase that in your own thinking is to say, how can I afford this?
Right.
Because the opportunities open up from there. So there's many more that she has, and if anybody wants to contact me, I can certainly give you more references.
Okay.
But then the next thing we get into is, well, with this knowledge about mindset, how do you control your own mind, and what do you see? That's where it becomes really important. So I like to start with some examples on mindset. This first one's from history. Back in the late 30s, a small chemical company by the name of DuPont developed a plastic. You could heat seal it, take it in the freezer, or take it to the freezer, drop it in boiling water, and the seal would break. So they took it to Continental or American Can Company first. The executives there look at it and say, my, that's interested, but we're in the business of making cans. They then took it to Continental Can Company, and they looked at that and said, wow, we're in the business of packaging. We have a use for that. They subsequently changed their name to Continental Container Corporation. Another example is right after World War II, at least in the U.S., the railroads had so much money, they were cash rich, they didn't know what to do with it. They looked at the fledgling passenger airline business and said, not interested because you can't make a train fly. They failed to realize they were in the transportation business.
Yeah.
Well, another one I like that's more modern is, who knew 20 years ago that the least likely thing you do on your phone is talk?
Yeah, that's so true.
See?
Yeah.
These are things. So the question with that is, whatever your endeavor is, whatever business you're in, what business are you really in?
Yes. Love
And
that.
that requires more of an open-minded way of thinking, which is a growth mindset.
Yes.
Another thing I like to say is that, education impedes learning. Highly educated people don't really innovate a lot more than others because they're in a fixed mindset.
Yes.
Another one I love from history is, the danger with success is you begin to think you're right. Okay. And one of the famous ones, it's amazing. One of the famous ones on this was Kodak. What many people don't know is Kodak actually invented digital imaging.
Okay.
But at the time, the computers were slow, but their real reason was, we're so busy making film and chemicals, we don't have time for this.
Oh boy.
Where is Kodak now?
Yeah. Holy.
Another one that's interesting is the Swiss actually invented the digital technology watch.
Okay.
But their whole business was focused on wheels, gears, and all these little shop makers. So they said, well, this digital is interesting, but they sold it off to Seiko. The rest is history. And so you look at this and say, well, what was their mindset making them think that way?
Yeah. Yeah. Very limited.
That's what gets crazy.
Tunnel vision. Wow.
Big time tunnel vision. But I can understand that because they were successful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting because years ago I had a patient and he had a double PhD. He had a PhD in psychology and physics. And his hobby was studying people that won Nobel Prizes. I think secretly he wanted to win a Nobel Prize, and that's why he studied them. But he said something to me. Yeah, it's great. He said something to me really interesting. He said, I said, well, what determines who gets a Nobel Prize? He said, most of them go to people that look at the same data as everybody else and see it differently. So that's why to develop the mindset that you're open to everything.
Yes.
Along those lines, I'm also a big fan of quantum physics.
Yes.
And the trouble with quantum physics is, we usually think of it somebody cloistered in a university somewhere that doesn't know anything else, which I have to agree with them, because when I practiced dentistry in Ann Arbor years ago, I had a patient that was an internationally known quantum physicist.
Oh, wow.
He was an amazing man, but don't ask him to buy a loaf of bread. He could not do it. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, he did not live in the real world, as we call it.
Yeah.
So the challenge with quantum physics is to find somebody who can translate to English for us.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of people say, oh, quantum physics has nothing to do with me. I say, yeah, it does. And the example I asked people, and so far it's been nearly 100%. I said, "Have you ever been thinking about somebody and the phone rings and it's them?"
Hmm.
They say, "Yes." I said, "That's quantum physics."
Hmm.
Now, the one I recommend people to try to practice this is whenever you pull into a parking lot, expect a good spot.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and say, right,
Yeah.
say, so you've had that experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. See,
Yes.
the nice thing about that is there's no downside. You either get a nice spot or you get some exercise.
Yeah,
Because
true enough.
yeah,
Uh,
the one of the keys with quantum physics is it doesn't work in the presence of fear.
mhm.
Say, but with a parking lot situation, there's really no fear because either outcome is okay.
Yes.
Say.
Yes.
And I think in the Buddhist, don't quote me on this, but on the Buddhist, I think that's called non-attachment.
Okay. Yeah, that would
Non-attachment to
make
the
sense.
outcome,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
love. Say,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's always fun stuff. The other thing is when I
Mhm.
look at other things. In fact, this one's good. Um, the When my sister graduated from high school,
Mm.
the valedictorian of the class gave this incredible speech, and the summation of it was the biggest hurdle you ever face is a closed mind.
Yes. Oh boy.
Okay. Well,
Hmm.
then since then, I've added the epiphany, which the epiphany is when you realize the closed mind is your own.
Good one. Yeah.
Because part of it is you want to come from
Uh,
a humble point of view
mm.
rather than I know everything, which again is
Yes.
a growth principle
Yes.
for a mindset.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun stuff. Any thoughts, feedback at this point?
Oh, I just love it all. You're
Okay.
saying all the stuff I love, so yeah, keep
Yeah.
going. This is so
Yeah. Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dog just walked in here, so
Oh, nice.
yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
puppy.
It's my girlfriend. I want to become the person my dog thinks I am.
Heck, we all do, right?
You
Yeah,
know.
my dog, same. Mm.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
yeah. So it's been fun stuff. So anyway, the performance thinking, there's four basic principles I use.
okay.
One of them is be calm.
Hmm.
The second one is be hydrated.
Yes.
The third one is be positive in your self-talk. And the fourth
Hmm.
one is be focused. So let's take a look at some ideas. In fact, what's interesting, one of the groups I've learned to work with is um, is professional athletes, and
Right?
it's interesting because I love watching the Olympics. And
Yes.
Shaun White was on a couple days ago, and he talked about he was interviewing Kim. What's her first name? Chloe Kim, the U.S. snowboarder.
Okay.
And she basically gave her some advice, and that one was when you're in competition, just assume it's another practice
Mm, right.
because say
Takes
and
pressure off.
yeah, another example with mindset is I can put down a 2 foot wide walkway that's 20 feet long, and I'll say I give you $5 to walk across it.
Mm.
No problem. It's the easy way to learn $5. I then make it 100 feet above, and I say, and I'm going to give you $100. Will you do it? No, it's not enough money.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing to look at there is that the plank is the same. It's
Hmm.
your perception of the environment that makes the difference.
Yeah.
See,
It's
that's what's
so
powerful.
crazy.
Yeah,
It is. Yeah.
it's fun to play with these kind of things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's good. It's yeah. The other interesting thing is people talk about distress and stress. I've studied a lot stress a lot, but there's really two kinds of stress. One of them is what I call distress, and
Hmm.
the other one is euphoric stress.
Hmm.
Now, what's interesting about a lot of stress is it's not the event, it's your interpretation of it.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so is it distressful for you or is it pleasurable?
Right. Right. And everybody has their
Yeah.
own perception of it, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's your perception and your history and your level of confidence which turns it from one to the other.
Right.
Because euphoric stress is actually a euphoric experience that's pleasurable for a lot of people.
Hmm.
Distress, I don't know anybody that loves distress. You don't want to do
Nope.
that again.
Nope.
But
Exactly.
right, but we tend to go to work every day with distress.
Right.
You go, wow. So
Yeah.
one of the first things I look at is teach yourself or learn to be calm. And there's some very simple exercises. The first one is learn to
Okay.
breathe differently.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Are you the same with you breathe out longer than you breathe in
Right.
to
Now, one
calm?
of the
Yeah.
things I find though is if you spend too much time concentrating on was that long enough, was that too short, it kind of loses its effect.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. It's his
and,
own
and
kind
then
of
the,
stress.
yeah, yeah, and then the other fascinating one is that people say we got to meditate. Well, I've heard people that almost get into what I call competitive meditation. I
Oh,
can meditate better
okay.
than you. I can meditate longer. I can do. I said, really? You're turning it into a competitive sport?
Yeah. It's the
What?
new
What are you doing
Olympic.
that for? Yeah, yeah. So
That's
it's good
funny.
stuff. Yeah,
Mm. So if you got, again, you say calm, breathe differently, but when you're in the thick of it and things are just so, what do you
right.
recommend people do to shift your mindset and get out of that
Okay.
crazy state?
Well, the key with this, what I do with the people I coach, and like since you're familiar with Newcom, we'll talk about Newcom a little bit too.
Okay.
Is that
Good, good.
when you're doing Newcom, I do a lot of this with my race car drivers. Is that you practice breathing in and out the same time you're listening to Newcom, especially the rescue or the relaxation modes.
Okay.
Now, what this does is it, have you ever heard of Pavlov dog experiments?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, for people
Yeah.
that don't,
Yeah. It's
what he did
horrible.
was
Yeah.
he would ring a bell and feed the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and after he did this a few times, then he would ring the bell and they'd start to salivate without any food
Mm-hmm.
because he taught them that the bell means it's time to eat. Well,
Right.
that's
Yep.
like with the new calm or even meditation or relaxation, whatever you do, practice breathing it so when you're in a stressful situation, you go back to breathing and your brain tends to kick into the relaxation mode. But that's
Okay.
generally something that needs to be planned ahead.
Right.
Yeah. And so the part of it is that you want to learn to relax before you get into this to the trauma. In fact,
Yeah.
my
That's,
own history is I had cancer 2 years ago. That was an
man,
interesting experience. I'm in remission now.
good for
Now,
you.
what's
Nice.
interesting about cancer is that you're there, you're at the hospital or the doctor's wondering what's going on. And it kind of reminded me years ago I learned the three most dangerous words on the ski slope, and that is "Dad, follow me."
You'd
That's
never do
not a
that.
wise decision. Sometimes you can get away with it, but then you got to say no. Let's meet
Yeah.
for lunch, okay?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
see, the
That's
reason
funny.
I say that is because what I found when I had cancer, they verbally or non-verbally say, "Now relax, so your body will heal."
Mm.
Unless you already know how to meditate, or you're using Newcom or a similar type situation
Hmm.
before you have cancer, I've rarely seen anybody that can learn to meditate and relax after they've been diagnosed with cancer
No, no.
because they're
Nice.
just stressed off the charts.
Too far. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. See,
Absolutely.
so how I got started on that was in 2011. I was one of the beta testers for the Newcom system.
In
You,
2011.
yeah, that's when I
Wow.
started with it. I think the company
Wow.
started in 2009, I think. But that
Wow. I didn't
became
know that.
the gentleman that developed it. His first job was the Oklahoma bombing victims years ago. Talk about stress,
Oh.
and that's who he developed the system for.
Mm.
The reason they
Boy.
picked dentistry is 82% of the people have dental anxiety,
Mm.
and most of it's actually some form of PTSD.
Wow.
It's either a childhood experience, a
Mm.
sibling scared them, or they
Friend. Yeah.
actually had a problem,
Mm.
which I can see. See, so that's why they picked dentistry. It was incredibly successful
Hmm.
at
Interesting.
being able to get people to relax. But the other real benefit to it was when you're on Newcom, it kind of warps your time perception.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
when you're sitting in a dental, you may have no anxiety sitting in a dental chair, but you're there maybe 2 hours, and after about 20 minutes, you say, "Oh, please hurry up! Please hurry up! I want to get out of here."
Yeah.
Is it stressful? No, I'm just bored. So what was
Yeah.
interesting is one of the first people that we used Newcom on was my sister, who had stage 4 cancer.
Mm.
And the reason we put her on it, or I put her on it, was because the treatment was like 6 to 8 hours. So you get bored sitting there. So we put her
Right.
on Newcom, and so it felt like she was only there for an hour.
Wow.
Now, what was interesting is she was given a 6-month prognosis, or that's a mistake that medicine makes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's huge.
I don't like that.
It's
Don't like
yeah,
that.
well, because then the doctor or the person of influence, if you believe them, you follow their orders. Now, what's
Yep.
crazy is
Yep.
Bernie Siegel was a cancer surgeon out of New Haven, Connecticut years ago, and he
Okay.
wrote a book called Love, Medicine, and Miracles. And he talked about the danger in the wrong mindset or the right mindset. So if you've ever been in a teaching hospital as a patient, they gather around you and they talk about you like you're not there.
Ah.
And so, and like any field, you start doing shortened phrasing and lingo because you're tired of saying all the long words.
Right.
So Bernie talked about this one patient that had what's called a tricular stenosis, which is a fairly minor heart arrhythmia.
Okay.
But all the residents and interns say she has TS. And they go bantering around saying the pros and cons and the drugs and whatnot. And they leave. Her interpretation of TS is it's a terminal situation and she dies that
Oh.
night. I'm not making that one up. It's crazy. In
Oh
fact,
my
I
gosh.
heard of another interesting one just recently from a friend. I think it was their father had prostate cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And he was still alive after like 4 or 5 years. So he goes up to a well-known clinic and he meets this expert. And basically, the expert says to him, "I don't know why you're still alive. Died like 2 months later. This
Yep.
is crazy."
Same thing happened to my mom. Yeah,
Yeah,
she was 49 and she went into remission in January. That was 96, I think it was.
yeah,
95, my goodness. And then, yeah, she was doing all these things and she went in for, okay, what are our next steps? And they looked at her and said, there's nothing more we can do. Like, you've only got a few months. She's gone in 4 days.
yeah,
You saw it
yeah,
just, it left her face. She had no hope left. They
right.
destroyed it. Yep.
Yeah,
That totally disagree with giving
but,
somebody
but,
that kind of
yeah,
diagnosis.
okay.
Yeah.
After being in the medical field, I know why they don't want to make these promises that sound outlandish, because they just
Yeah.
envision themselves they're in a malpractice case, and uh,
Right.
the prosecuting attorney says something and they wet their pants sitting on the stand.
Yeah.
So they tend not to treat the individual. But when I was in practice, I used to say, you know why they call it practice? Because I can tell you exactly what's going to happen to 87.4% of the people, but I have no idea what's going to happen to you. Which group are you in?
Ah,
So like something in cancer, they give these prognosis like it's a football game. Second
yeah.
half, 2-minute warning, first quarter, doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
But cancer, from an individual standpoint, is more like baseball. As
Mm.
long as you're at bat, you can still win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
See, everything's impossible till it happens once, and then it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, but
Yeah.
that's mindset. Another
Yes.
great example of mindset
Mm.
from the past was Roger Bannister in the 4 Minute Mile.
Oh, okay. Yep.
If you're not familiar with that story,
Yeah.
doctors at the time thought it was impossible to run a 4 minute mile because your heart would explode. So you imagine his mindset when he wants to run a 4 minute mile.
Yeah.
Say, well,
Terrifying.
yeah, but it was right. The amazing thing with this is there was all these people that ran a 3:98, a 3:97, and they just couldn't get past 4, because
Mm.
in their mind they said if they hit 4, they're dead.
Yeah.
So after Roger Bannister runs the 4 minute mile, something like 30 some people within the next 2 months ran more than a 4 minute mile.
Wow.
because they had the mindset it was possible.
Hmm. Isn't that funny? It's
And
crazy
I
what
love
mindset will
those
do.
kind of stories.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yes, it's fun to do this type of thing. That's my passion, is doing this type of thing. See,
Absolutely. You
the
can tell. This is
yeah,
great.
oh, the
Yeah.
Olympics are fun to listen to. In fact,
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg, he's actually an incredibly brilliant person that kind
Okay.
of hides as a rapper. The guy's
Mm,
brilliant. So
right.
when he interviewed Chloe Kim, that's when he talked about when you got a setback, it puts you in a place to get back.
Uh-huh.
That's resilient. That's the best definition
That's
I've ever heard of
nice. Yeah.
resilience.
Yeah.
Because the two key things with cancer is hope and resilience.
Hmm.
Yeah. And one of the best
Yeah.
examples I know of, example of possibility, is, do you ever see the movie Dumb and Dumber?
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's one of the few movies with truth in advertising in it. Okay.
Right.
So here's
Yeah.
Jim Carrey playing this goofy guy through the whole movie.
Uh,
And toward the end of it, he keeps asking this woman out for a date. She
mhm.
always says no. And he says, "Isn't there a chance?" And she said, "1 in a million." He goes, "Yes,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
yes." See, that's resilience and looking at
Yeah.
possibilities, not probabilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's so
So
critical.
funny.
Yeah,
Such a
it's
funny
fun
show.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Very, very good. Just to jump back to Newcom there, because
yeah.
if somebody doesn't know what we're talking about, why don't you explain like
Okay,
that exactly what it is?
okay.
And
That's
yeah.
good. Yeah, the
Okay.
Newcom uses what's called binaural beats,
Yeah.
which is
Nice.
the technology invented by a Russian years ago. And what it is that you put a frequency or a sound into your ears, and your body will match that frequency. So if it's 10 cycles, or what's called 10 hertzes, is going in, then your body can train, or your brain entrains to that, and that's alpha, which is going to sleep. And so your brain waves go from anywhere from like a half up to about 40, and even some research shows it goes higher than that.
Mm.
So what it is it's a way to entrain it. Now, the interesting thing about Newcom is twofold. One of them is, which is not uncommon with some of the other options, is that to get a 10 cycle frequency in your brain, what they do is they put 400 in one ear, 410 in the other, and it cancels out, and the only thing the brain hears is 10.
Mm.
Because if you're into audio, to reproduce a clear sound of such low frequency, it requires a huge, physically large speaker. But
Right.
this is the way they get around it.
So clever.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's various things. The one I really love is gamma. And there's some interesting
Mm.
research that says putting your brain in gamma, which is about 40 cycles, seems to delay the onset of dementia symptoms,
Mm.
and
Mm.
may help Alzheimer's from going downhill so quickly.
Oh,
Like
which,
anything in research,
mm,
we don't know, but it's
right.
easy to do. Another one that's fascinating that I ran across, it's great with AI and Google. When I used to do research at Michigan, and we sit around on a Friday afternoon having the what if questions, drinking beer, okay, we would say, what if XXX happens? That means you got to spend 6 weeks in the library going through all these journals and
Right.
whatnot to find the answers,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Well, now what happens is you just Google it or AI it, and you have the
Yeah.
answer in 6/10 of a
Like
second.
that. Yeah.
So what it really points out is that the answer is not as important as the question.
Mm.
If you want better results, ask better
Better
questions.
questions. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I love. In fact, one of the things I recommend people do is, whatever challenge you face, you start with the mindset that the answer is right in front of you.
Mm.
The
Mm.
key is to see it.
Mm.
Because as soon as you say can't, you won't see the opportunities.
No. Right.
Right? And
Yeah.
in our society, we want answers quickly. Well, it's interesting. I love this one. I don't know how it is in Canada, but the rocking chair is an American invention.
Yeah.
It was
Nice.
patented by Benjamin Franklin, but it's ideal for America because they can't sit still.
Yeah.
So you can sit and be and
Rocket.
not moving or moving. So, well, it's
Yeah.
crazy because the thing is, we suffer from dementia. You can't just be, you have to do.
Hmm.
And it's like the typical thing is you meet somebody new, and generally within a few minutes, in one form or the other, say, what do you do?
What do
Like
you
that's
do?
more
Yeah.
important than who are you?
Yeah. Yeah,
But it's a common
exactly.
thing. Well, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. That's funny.
So,
Yeah.
and what's interesting is you can, since I
Yeah.
have a bent sense of humor, somebody says, "What do you do?" It says, "I'm a porn star." You can't believe the reaction you get from people when you say that.
Oh my God.
You
So
know,
funny. This
you're
makes me
like,
think of
what?
Seinfeld. Yeah, I'm buck naked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, of course, the other one I love is like one year, a few years ago, I was riding on the lift, and all these guys were there at the ski resort, and they were talking about their adventures, and it was a tax write-off. So finally, they turned to me
Oh,
and said,
right.
"What do you do?" I says, "I'm an IRS agent." Boy, did
Oh,
that place get quiet.
oh my goodness. Lucky you made it out of there alive.
Yes. But see, it's so we look at somebody not who they are. Well, what do you do? What did you
Mhm.
do?
Yeah, yeah,
You're retired. What do you want to do now?
yeah,
Try being for a while.
yeah, exactly. You're not
Yeah,
what you do. Yeah, right? Like we get stuck in
yeah,
that
yeah,
title of that's our identity, and it's so
yeah.
wrong. Yeah,
Right.
that's
And,
true.
and that's a big part of the fixed mindset because
Yes.
whether it was a something that was put on you by your parents, somebody of
Mm.
influence, that you can't do this,
Hmm.
then you haven't transitioned to a growth mindset.
Right.
And that is the huge key is doing
Yeah.
that.
That's I love that saying, whether you say you can or say you can't, you're right.
Right.
Right? So
Yeah. That, that,
that's
that was originally Henry Ford that coined that,
was
as far
it?
as I
Love
know.
that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
true.
And it is true.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean something's easy, but
Mm-mm. Oh
being able
God.
to do it may be different than easy.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean, yeah, just because it's not easy doesn't mean it's
Yeah.
impossible. Right?
It's
It's
it,
just,
it's like one of my on my four B's, be hydrated. The
yes.
problem with that is it's easy to do, but the downside is easy not to do.
Yes. Yeah.
And hydration, in fact, a little stat: 2% dehydration lowers your fine motor skills about 20%,
Wow.
and it lowers your ability to think correctly and quickly about 20% also.
Hmm.
Now, it's
It's
crazy. I have
interesting.
I have airline pilots that use Newcom, and it's a
Okay.
fabulous way to mitigate jet lag when
Hmm.
they're flying all over. So the pilots, talking about what are you doing? Well, here's the crazy part. Everybody gets dehydrated on an airline because they're scared when the bathroom's going to be closed.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
I can't drink. The bathroom may be closed. The scary part is pilots are doing it. That's not
That's
good. We want them
funny.
hydrated.
Yeah. You guys drink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Don't,
drink. Just don't
yeah,
make
we
it
don't want
alcohol
your,
drink, okay? It's
yeah,
crazy.
exactly. Yeah,
You
no
know.
alcohol allowed. Oh,
Yeah,
that's so
yeah.
funny.
It's fun stuff. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. But
So,
it's enjoyable. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, again, the Newcom, it's an app, right, that you can
Yes,
download from any
correct.
app store and put it on
Yeah,
your phone. You get your I have my big headset that plugs in and goes
right.
over, my ears that
Yeah.
way, and you have um, your eye cover, right,
Yeah,
your
for
eye
certain
mask
programs. Yeah,
for certain
yeah,
ones. Yep, yep.
yeah.
So it's just a really cool pro or app that you can
Yeah,
get on your phone. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Do you want?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, at the end here, we'll make sure we put in your little code.
Okay,
uh,
okay.
Put that in
So
too. Yeah, but
what's interesting is since I was one of the developers with the Newcom, because I actually developed a system for voiceover. So when I was working on a
okay.
dental patient, I could give them instructions,
Mm,
so I wouldn't have to interrupt them wearing the headphones. And then I
uh-huh.
started doing that with professional athletes to
Huh.
give them, and it was a fairly sophisticated program where we'd have them go on Newcom. And then at the time, I would ask them to give me what they wanted to have happen, especially when I did a fair number of football players. So they would give me a list of what they wanted to have as their positive traits.
Okay.
Okay. And then I remember very distinctly one of the people I was working with, he said he could still hear my voice while he warmed up on the field.
Wow.
Okay. But that shows up the next thing, which is be positive in your self-talk.
Mm.
Now, there's a gentleman by the name of Shad Helmstetler who really was one of the groundbreakers on the idea of self-talk.
Okay.
Because most people, by the time they're 18, approximately 3/4 of what they hear is no and can't from parents or people of influence.
Mm-hmm.
So their natural self-talk is, I can't, I'm not able.
Yep.
Whereas it should be more positive, but that requires training.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I've done with that is that you combine what self-talk is with being relaxed, meditating, or better yet, on Newcom, and it changes your self-talk outlook about how you say things, and that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I do some other technology to make that more effective with the person.
Oh, do
That's
you?
fun. Yeah, big time.
Yeah. What's the other technology you would use with that?
Well, you want to self-talk is an app. It's called
Oh.
Self-Talk Plus.
Oh.
Yeah, I have no affiliation with them at all, and I think they still
Self-talk.
give a 30-day free trial.
So, okay, let's talk about that for a minute. 'Cause that's
Okay.
interesting too.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that one. So
Oh, it's
self-talk,
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and all it
self
is it's
app.
go ahead.
No, it's I'm sorry. It's self-talk app?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Self-talk. It's called self-talk. It's called Self-Talk Now, I think it is. Yeah,
Self-talk now. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's on my website. If you is a link if
Okay,
you
is
want to
it?
go to that. Yeah,
Okay.
but that's been really powerful because I also work with another gentleman that deals basically with high-end performance. His name is Jacques Delard, and he wrote a book called Performance Thinking.
Okay.
But it's a more involved situation than self-talk, and they're both effective depending on what you're doing. But it still goes back to when you have something that you can't do you have this little bird on your shoulder saying you can't do that? Why do you think you can do
Right.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. And so that app will help with that.
Yeah, it helps with that. Because the other thing I like is that if I look at my forte, I like to use what I call performance aids.
Mm.
How do we make this easier and more effective? In fact, sometimes as an example, what I'll do is I'll put down a business card. I still have business cards. I'm an old guy. And during the conversation, I'll put a blank sheet of paper in front of them and a pen. And I'll say, I want you to draw a perfectly straight 3.5-inch line.
Okay.
People sit there and they struggle. I've only had 3 people do it perfectly, and all of them are professionally trained artists.
Wow.
So then after they struggle, I take the business card, plop it down, and draw a perfectly straight 3.5-inch line.
Yeah.
Now, not that it has any relevance, but that's a key to when you're faced with a challenge, what performance aids are there?
Yes.
How do you make this journey easier?
Yeah. I love things like that. I've always loved those little head tricks or games or whatever you want to call them. Always loved that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. So cool.
Yep.
All right, bro. I am gonna look into that self-talk one because I think that's very, very
it's
important.
powerful. I like that one.
Yeah. Okay.
In combination with the other 3. And the be focused is huge.
Be focused. Never heard of that one either. My goodness.
Well, be focused. Well, what's interesting is the be focused. There's a resource download on my website if you want to just download it. There's actually 2 more bonus ones on there that
nice.
you have to download it to see the bonuses there.
Okay.
But it's fun to do this because that's what makes the difference. But one of the things with focus is, especially with the Olympics going on, there was some data years ago that showed that it takes 10,000 hours of activity to become a master. Whether ice skating, skiing, whatever and whatnot. But there were some other interesting studies done years ago, and it was done by a guy named Dennis Waitley. He was an old-time performance type thinking. He was a Blue Angel pilot.
Okay.
And what he did was he did the experiment where what they do is they have people practice 3 free throws. and see what their percentage is. And then as an alternative, he has them just mentally practice without the basketball.
Okay.
And then after they actually go back to using the basketball, their percentages got better.
Mm-hmm.
You go, wow. See, that's where mental practice can be more profound than actual practice. Now, that doesn't mean you can't not practice.
But your body doesn't know.
Right. In fact, if you look at the ones I focus more on is the ice skaters and the skiers.
Mm-hmm.
If you see the opportunity where you see them just stand at the top of the hill, mentally going through the course before they start.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with
absolutely.
race car drivers.
Yeah.
And so that's key, because you want to get to the point where your competition is just like practice.
Mm-hmm. It's completely different than sports, but I will do the same if I'm going to clean out a room or reorganize something. I sit back and I look and I know exactly in my brain before I even start anything how I'm going to move stuff, where I'm going to put it, how this is going to be. I got to move this first. And I go in and I do it. Yeah. You got to go through it in your head first.
Yeah. See, that's very important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like I said, this is the stuff that gets me excited now.
Yeah.
Because when I really look at what I do, I help people optimize their performance for their chosen passion and purpose. That's why it works. These same principles with a slight modification. Doesn't matter whether you're a football player, an airline pilot, or just trying to get through school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Performance is performance, right? That proper mindset.
Yeah. Now, the other interesting one to get into is most people, they may have a lecture on certain things and they say, take action. Well, the interesting thing with action is, as an example, I have an illustration I show, and I got 3 individual frogs sitting on individual lily pads. And I show the people the picture and I say, okay, there's 3 frogs on a lily pad. 2 of them make the decision to jump off. How many frogs are left on lily pads? And the common answer is 1. No, there's 3, because they only made the decision but didn't take action.
Nice.
Well, I'm gonna go to school next year. Well, are you in school? No, I'm gonna do it later. Now, the other thing I use as a performance aid is a system called Kolbe, KOLBE.com.
Okay.
What it does is it focuses on what's called your conative style, which, there's your feeling, your thinking, but then the real thing is conative, which is what's your style in taking action. It's like a $45, $50 test, or $55. It's one of the best things I've ever done.
Good. Okay.
It's like somebody, because there's various things there. One of them is fact finder, an implementer, a follow through, and a quick start. And each of them, there's no right or wrong. Each one has pros and cons. See, a fact finder is a person that needs all the data before they do anything.
Right. Okay.
And so a lot of people, if somebody's a quick start, they say, come on, get moving. No, their style is to gather the data first. Well, the quick start is an inventor, innovator. They come up with inventions right and left.
Yeah.
But then they never study they just give me the cliff notes. I don't want to study.
I want to go. That is me.
See, but it's not right or wrong. It just fits into what's your style.
Who you are. Yeah.
Once you know your style, you can say, well, how do I manage my liabilities that aren't me?
Right.
Well, that's why in a company that uses Kolbe, you just delegate based on the person's gifts. And a really smart company will use that to figure out which positions are where.
Interesting. Yeah, it keeps everybody working together. You don't have everybody that's an innovator. Go. Right? You got a nice push-pull. Yeah.
It's all related to mindset.
Yeah. Sorry, I think our internet absorbed a little bit there. So yeah.
Okay, well, that's okay. So anything else you want to? I don't know how much time's gone by.
We're just we're almost an hour in. So Yeah, this was fantastic. We'll wrap this up. So do you have anything else of wise thoughts you'd like somebody like to, sorry, you would like to finish off with, like just
Sure.
tips or tricks or things people should try? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the other thing, remember, motivation is like a spark. Mindset is like the power plant. So
Okay.
you need both. That's why, but the car guy one I like the best. Thing.
Hmm.
And the thing is that if you wait for motivation, it may never come.
No.
And if it comes, it's not effective. But what you want to do is have motivation so you create momentum, and that's mindset.
Nice. Very well said.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. So I
I
assume you
like that.
post my
Yeah.
contact
Yeah,
information.
that's what I was going to ask. If somebody wants to work with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Okay. Probably the best way is through the optimalperformance.cc. I think you're going to post that. Okay.
Absolutely.
The other one, if it's a cancer patient, even though it's the same
Mm.
system, I do it a little bit differently. And that one they can see some of the details by going to copingconqueringcancer.com.
Okay.
Because I'm very passionate about helping people with cancer, especially
Yes.
when you look at the things that are missing in the traditional system. I don't
Mm-hmm.
recommend to just use mindset, but you want to
Oh
use it in
no.
combination with other things.
Absolutely. As I agree.
You,
You have to, there's the four, like myself, I talk about the four pillars, right? You have your nutrition, your mindset, your movement, and your sleep.
yeah,
You need it all to be healthy at your best,
correct.
right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
yes, especially if you're dealing with cancer. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
quite an interesting mental trip.
I can't even imagine. But I'm
Okay.
thankful that you are on the other side of that.
Yeah. Well,
Holy.
actually, what I focus on also is the goal in everything is to reach remission.
Hmm.
But then what I also focus on is how do you stay in remission?
Yes, that's the big one.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
the one of the best sources I know that I talk about depending on the person is a book written in the early 70s called Getting Well Again.
Hmm.
Written by a guy named Dr. Carl Symington. It's a $9
Okay.
paperback on Amazon.
Hmm.
I highly recommend anybody that's been diagnosed with cancer or they know somebody, tell them to get the $9 paperback. Now, because cancer is so traumatic, the caregiver may need to read it instead.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
it's good information. What he did was he posed a question: why do people with the same diagnosis, the same treatment, and somebody dies on time and somebody else is alive 10 years later?
All right.
He studied that, and there's about 20 factors that make a difference.
Hmm. Okay. I will absolutely put that in the notes too. I'm going to
Yeah.
get you after this to send me an email with all these
Okay.
links and all the different
I can
things,
do
and I
that.
will
Yeah.
put
Okay.
that in.
Yeah.
That's love that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy.
Oh, yeah, it was such a pleasure. I always enjoy talking to you. We can talk for
I
hours. You're just a wealth of information. It's just, you blow my mind. So thank you. I'll have to
appreciate that.
get you on again, talk about something else. But
Sure.
okay, so for anybody watching, if today's episode resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next conversation that heals. Everybody stay well.
Yeah.
Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to the Conversations That Heal. If something in this episode helped you feel seen or gave you one small thing to try, that's your next step. Start there. Gentle, sustainable, and at your body's pace. Remember, your body isn't the problem, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. We're just learning to start listening to it again. If you want more, check out this video next. Stay well, and we'll see you in the next Conversation That Heals.